It's time to accelerate. Hi, I'm your host, Andy Paul. Join me as I host conversations with the leading experts in sales, marketing, sales automation, sales process, leadership, management, training, coaching, any resource that I believe to help you accelerate the growth of your sales, your business, and most importantly, you. Hello, and welcome to Accelerate. Joining me on the show today is my guest, Gavin Zuchlinski. I got it right that time. Who's the founder of Acuity Scheduling, joining me from the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania. Gavin, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on here.
Well, welcome to Accelerate. So take a minute and just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe how you got to start in business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Gavin. My background is technical, but through it all, I am the founder of Acuity Scheduling. It's an online tool to help small businesses and professionals of all sorts just manage their day-to-day of appointments. So you can have your clients book appointments online with you, and it'll magically appear in all of your calendars, make sure that you're never double booked, and connect to all of the tools that you use. So it was something that way back in the day, I originally created for my mom. She's a massage therapist. And then from there, it has expanded to tens of thousands of small businesses and other professionals and enterprises and everything. So it's been a great journey for me.
Yeah. So it sounded like somewhere, I was doing a little research on you, that some background maybe somewhere in cybersecurity.
Oh yeah. It's been a circuitous path too. So when I originally did this, I worked for my like I mentioned, I'm technical in my background. Sure. I did web development for the longest time, and I ended up creating Acuity for my mom. I was originally trying to use this as I saw her struggling with just the back and forth of appointments. Sure. And then I figured I'd put it out online too, and I'd use this as a way to generate leads for my web development business. Mm-hmm. That completely failed, but then the product itself took off. But it took off a slow start because at first I wasn't 100% invested into it. But yeah, for a good 6-7 years, I was in the Washington, D.C. area working with the government on some really fun technical and security projects too.
Okay. So, yeah, we won't delve too much into that, but what were the problems your mom was having that became this impetus? I wish the guy saw to work on my back had a system like this instead of leaving him messages at his home.
I know. Well, and that's exactly it too. So she works for herself. So clients would call her. She didn't have a receptionist of any sort, and they'd end up calling her and just play phone tag with messages back and forth, trying to find a time that's right. By the time she'd leave them a message that said, "Hey, Tuesday at 2 p.m. is available," and they'd call back and say, "Great, I'll have Tuesday," and then it was gone. So right. There's that real time nature of everything too. And then not only that is I would end up seeing her and just people trying to call and say reschedule things or cancel things, and then they'd have to tell her, "Oh well, I can't. I got to take Aunt Millie to the doctor. Her kidney stones are acting up again, and I won't be able to make it to her appointment." And just go on and on and on and on and on. And after we put it out there, I saw that there were tons of other businesses that had the same thing, from everybody like people that I expected, like people like my mom, all the way to just all sorts of different ones. We have people doing donut deliveries, and then we just have tons and tons of people using it to manage their sales processes too, so that leads can come, schedule their appointments, and you don't have to worry about the back and forth. It can be nice and convenient for them. The other thing that I ended up seeing firsthand with my mom was that most of the people who would end up booking her would actually do it at times when she wasn't at the office, when she was just away. So most of her appointments ended up coming when it was most convenient for the client to be able to book it, not necessarily she was there accepting calls. And also, when you're on a call with somebody, you're not actively accepting appointments either. Right. So it ended up expanding her practice through that too.
Well, so I was going to ask that question. So one of the results of using a scheduler, and we'll talk about your mom for a bit before we jump into the business to business side of things, but did she see her business increase?
Yes. And it's something too where, I also help her out. There's things that we see all people need to do to try to get their business online, and getting a scheduler on there, I think is we've seen this with several other people. There's also a professional practice in Australia. I think it's a law firm of sorts that contacted us. They've been a long-time customer, and they ended up telling us there were a couple other firms that ended up starting at the same time. That they were quite honest. They didn't say that they were any better than the other ones, but just that their business ended up expanding. A couple of them went out of business, and a couple of them hadn't expanded at the rate that they did.
Right.
And they think that it was just out of online scheduling. I'm sure that they're really fantastic at their business, but I think whatever you do, if you make it easier for your customers, when you make it easier for them, it's going to have them an affinity towards you, which hopefully results in your business expanding too.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I agree. You get that rapport building. So there are a lot of scheduling apps that are available, and we could probably spend half an hour just trying to name those that are available. So how are you different? How's Acuity different from the names that people may be familiar with, or that may be in the signature bars of many of the people that are listening to the show?
Yeah, it's really funny too. What we end up seeing is there are so many ones around, and we're really vertical agnostic. So we'll be used from all sorts, from sales to massage therapists to donut delivery. And it's generally within your particular community, there's just an adoption of one, because having any scheduler is hands down better than having none. Just having that convenience beats everything else. It doesn't mean you're using the absolute best one, but it does mean that you're using something that is way better than the phone tag and back and forth emails. So if you have one, just I'm happy. That is making me happy. But second of all, how we've ended up really growing is we're extremely close to our customers, provide excellent customer support, and through that listening and everything, Acuity has been around for quite a while, and because of that, we have a lot of experience trying to build something that is incredibly lean, easy to use, but at the same time very powerful. And there's a couple of driving principles that I personally have, and I'm not trying to sell anybody on Acuity in particular, because I would love everybody just use a scheduler, even if it's not us. But
let's talk about you then.
Absolutely. Okay. So it's if you want to, sure. Absolutely. So I personally believe that you should make it as dead simple as possible for your customers, and whatever you're using should be reflecting your brand, not whoever the scheduler is. So if you're seeing their name plastered above there in the upper right corner and in the emails and everywhere else, they're just promoting themselves and not you. So besides having all the power to be able to just accept appointments and everything else, you can completely customize it to reflect your brand, reflect what your colors, what everything else looks like, have the emails say what you want, which in the end means we see higher conversion rates from people, because you're able to customize everything to match your brand, give them the comforts that when you're talking to people, you're speaking to them in the terms that they refer to, and it looks like they're speaking with you too, instead of just they're giving their information to some third-party service. The other thing too is we strongly believe in being able to connect, and you run your business however you'd like, and then we want to be able to fit into there. So because of that, we create everything very flexibly, so you can really model your availability and your times, and make it so that everything can be put on autopilot. And that means being able to connect to all of your calendars, set up complex availabilities. So if you have 10 salespeople on a team and you have a couple of conference rooms that you need for particular demos, you can just put all of this information in there so that when a client goes, they just see the combined availability of everybody. They pick a time that's available, and we work out to make sure that the rooms are available, that you're actually available, that it's not double booked with your Outlook 365, your Exchange calendar, your calendar, or anything else, and then connect to whichever program you use, like GoToMeeting or Zoom. And
so you're saying you integrate with those to be able to see the availability on those other calendars that you can integrate then into Acuity.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And besides just calendars, we integrate with a ton. So it means that you can put everything onto autopilot really, and make sure that all of your time is taken care of. That when somebody comes in, when a lead comes in, they're assigned to somebody, they're actually available. All the resources are available. Sure. It's added to your calendar. There's nothing on your calendar that's blocking off. And if you use other tools, if you use Pipedrive or anything else, it's all connected into there, and all of the information all shows up into one place. So hopefully in the end, everything's beautifully connected. And besides just saving the time from scheduling an appointment, you've saved time with all of that setup that you normally do too.
All right. Well, let's talk about just the basics. People, you talked about, be happy just if people just use a scheduler. So are there any stats, sort of industry stats about, okay, if salespeople just throw that, if you want a time with me schedule, click on the link in their signature block. Any stats about whether that works or not?
It's interesting. So we've measured a few stats. We measure like time savings is one of the common ones, and we use that based off of self-reported measures. And typically for people that use online scheduling in general, even combined with other things, they're saving what roughly amounts to about 2.5 weeks per year, assuming that their full day is scheduling out. And that's based off of self-reported stats about how much people perceive time that they're saving every week too.
But that's saving on the going back and forth. Right?
I'm just
saying it's just the sheer availability of that link. Hey, if you're a sales rep and you're putting the AE, SDR, whatever, and you're putting that in your email signature block, is that a lure for people to click on it? I mean, does that actually work? So start driving to see what the best practices are for sales in terms of how we use the scheduling.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not sure about that in particular. We do offer a couple of things that you can track that if you want it on your own. And I'd be curious if anybody does offer that. What we do see though is some people still manage appointments on their own and they use it to send out reminders. But of the people who are letting clients book their own appointments, generally about 90% of people, if they make it obvious enough, and that means making it obvious on their website and everywhere else, prefer to book themselves too. So being able to...
That's interesting, because I was reading a post just last week somewhere. There was actually somebody was sort of pushing back on that about making customers do the work of scheduling. And I was sort of thinking, well, is that really work, or is that their convenience?
Yeah, I find that really interesting. I'd love to see that one. But this is, of course, users of our service who we surveyed. And of course, it's like 99% of businesses prefer that their clients book online, which is kind of self-selecting right there.
I was going to say, right
there. But for the customers of the businesses, I was really happy to see that 90% number. And it could be because we try to make it as easy as possible. Sure. And there's a chance that if you're surveying people of, I don't know, something else that requires you to register for an account and jump through all sorts of hoops, that I personally wouldn't want to do that anyway.
No, those are royal pains.
Yeah. So, but for our users, we see about 90% of them. And as we start to drill down into the reasons why, the convenience is one of them. Just the ease of use, not having to go the back and forth. The timing of it is the other, is that people are able to do impulse things when they remember, not necessarily when the other person is available. So sort of falls into the timing, but also just personal issues with it. And then, this could be something particular with our other service, but a lot of people prefer to do that too, just so that they can keep track of things. It tends to clear up communication a lot when both the practitioner and or the salesperson and your client, your customer are on the same page with everything, where you're all getting the same notifications, the same emails. Everybody is much more in line too, and we see and we hear people saying that it clears up communication a lot. Between the customer and you, and then also within your business too. So there's less confusion for you as the customer when you're going forward and you're trying to figure out when was the last time did I talk to, who did I talk to last time? And all of that. So we tend to see people, once they start scheduling online, continue to like doing it because of that as well.
All right. So one of the central challenges in business-to-business sales is just getting hold of a prospect. I think it's 18 touches on average, sometimes before you can get the first contact, first conversation. Is there anything that you've seen inherent about schedulers that can help address that issue somehow?
Well, I think part of it too is just like we talked about the friction of it. By reducing friction in any way possible for your prospect, you're making it much easier for them. So if they don't have to, call you back and get you while you're in your office and then miss you a bunch of times,
Right.
it's probably a lot easier just to be able to click a link and you can get into that impulse area. The other thing too that we see most successful people do is they're putting the ability to schedule in as many places as they can. So like you mentioned, the email signature is a fantastic one, and we see people do that there. Adding even in addition to there, adding an explicit call to action. Like I'll generally say like, just please go here or go here and pick a time that's most convenient for you.
In the body of your email.
Exactly. In the body of the email, in the context of the email, and that helps too. That way, because at least with some of the email clients that I use, email signatures can get hidden and all of that. So putting it in the body makes it more clear.
Okay, that's a good tip.
Yeah, for people who are on the phone a lot, always add it to your voicemail message too. And it tends to cut down, on the number of voicemails that you have, and then just the back and forth too. So that one too is probably one of the most common ones that adds the most bang for your buck, and it was what a lot of people forget about too. And then
you're saying it's in the voicemail, leave it, hey, and do you customize the URL so it's like acuity.com/0timeselling or...
Yeah, exactly. So you can do, zerotimeselling.acuityscheduling.com, and you put it in there, which is just for you, or you can embed it onto your own website too. So you could just say, hey, leave a message here. If you're looking to book an appointment, go to zerotimeselling.com/schedule, and you can pick a time and instantly confirm it on there with me.
Yeah, or perhaps even send somebody a text as a follow-up, just with the link in it to confirm, right, to the voicemail.
Exactly what I was going to say too. Is text message is another way that people find us, and it's really great too. At least our service, and I know tons of other ones work well on mobile, because mobile is, we see probably somewhere around half of the appointments scheduled come from mobile. So making sure that people don't have to type that much on there is a big one.
Yes.
So trying to make it as easy as possible there. Like for us too, we let you add custom forms and collect all sorts of information. But if you know that your prospects are going to be joining you from mobile, I definitely recommend trying to keep that light on all the required information that they need to put, because the more fields that you have to have, the less likely they are to fill everything out.
Or make an error, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. So it all gets down into, you're already trying to reduce the friction of what it takes for somebody to get in touch with you because of that. And then the other thing too is trying to reduce the no-show rate. Like, let's say you have an appointment booked. That's one thing. You try to make that really easy. The second
send reminders, right?
Is making sure that they actually show up.
The yield rate on meetings are hugely important, especially on inside sales. So I'm sure Acuity, I would hope, would be sending out, now enable you to send out reminder emails.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I think tons of other
most of them do. Yeah. Actually, I find interesting in that, because I use a scheduler. I book hundreds of people every year for this show, and and I'm always sort of amused by those people that then want me to send them a calendar invite as well. And so they've just scheduled using the scheduler, but that's like, could you send me a calendar invite too? It's like, but it's on your calendar. You just scheduled. I guess some habits are hard to break.
I guess so. Yeah. So at least with ours, we'll send out. You can add even more reminder emails and everything too. So what we see is people use this to set up sort of a drip series before your call. So if somebody has a call with you, maybe a week out, you have just an email that automatically goes out, say confirm the appointment, has the calendar invite on there. Well, and plus they have quick ways to add it to whichever calendar they use on the final page. But then you can send 1, 2, 3 reminders. You could even get aggressive, start sending text messages too. That tends to work better for different audience as well.
So you can do that all through Acuity. So do a drip campaign, a sequence of some sort of workflow, whatever word people want to use, and send out. Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah. So, especially, well, for podcast hosts too, we tend to see this is really successful when you start out a drip campaign and you say like, here's a reminder, like make sure you have a good microphone.
Right.
Here are some things that we recommend. We're
Right.
going to be, take a listen to, these were the best ranked episodes that we've had. Maybe have a listen and get some suggestions out of there.
Sure.
And then
You're giving me a good idea.
Yeah, use it to address, and that's where we get into the customization bit that I mentioned before too. Is because you're able to customize these things, to reflect your brand and everything. You're also you're able to add whatever you can add whatever you want in there. When you find people are maybe not showing up because they're confused about where to go, let's say they actually have to show up at an office or something like that, you can add directions, say we're right across the McDonald's and grab a coffee on your way or something like that. And you can really tailor it to them and figure out what all these objections are, again, lowering whatever friction it takes. So after you've already gotten the person, try to inch up your everything so that people really have no reason at all not to show up with you too.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I think, again, increasingly in sales, that is an issue. It's just getting people to show up once they've committed to do something, whether it's show up for a software demo or show up for a discovery call, which are all predominantly being held virtually, right? So being able to get a higher yield out of that is really important. And I mean, for some people, I had one client, we just focused purely on increasing their yield out of second calls from first calls. And it made a huge difference. So I could see a tool like this that's really, I didn't realize you could do the sequence. I think that's an interesting feature.
Yeah. So it's the reminder sequence before an appointment, and then you can also add follow-ups after too. So you can send an automatic follow-up message, say like, "Hey, we just chatted 2 days ago.
Right.
Here's some extra information that you might find useful," or here's where you can go to if you have like an initial discovery call. Here's where you can go to book your other sessions and things like that too.
So then, do you integrate with some of the sales development platforms or marketing automation platforms?
Yes, we do integrate with several of them. So we integrate with dozens of things directly. We integrate with Drip, Mailchimp. There's an Infusionsoft connector for Acuity, and then we also integrate with Zapier as well, which lets you sort of build however you want to connect to things. That lets you connect to Salesforce and many other ones too. And then we're constantly having new integrations developed as well.
All right. Yeah, someday I'll master Zapier, but
why don't you like it? I love it.
I just haven't been successful. Maybe I'm just not smart enough. I've created some connections, but it's like they never seem as elegant as the ones I see online other places. So anyway, practice, I guess.
Practice. Yeah. So we have direct connectors for many things to try to make it as easy as possible. But then a couple of them we found that people just have such diverse needs too that it makes sense for you to try to just connect it and fit your own business too. And we're here to help as well with any of that.
So what are some of the, I was going to say craziest, but some of the most interesting, applications you've seen of your product? I mean, it'd be interesting. So give people sort of, food for thought, fuel for thought, as to how they might use it themselves.
Yeah, we have so many of them. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, there are some wild applications. There's like somebody who's a bowling alley that used it to like book parties and book your bowling lanes, and then like they added on things that you could add nachos onto there, and then like make sure that if you're booking a party, you can get 2 lanes next to each other and be able to model that. And it was a crazy wild thing.
So they could schedule food ordering on it.
Oh yeah, there's donut delivery services that use it. There's
you've brought that up several times. Donut delivery. I have to admit, I've never really even heard of donut delivery.
Exactly. I wish that they were closer to me.
Where are they?
Donuts delivered. I think they're outside of LA.
Oh.
It's LA or somewhere in LA or San Diego, something around.
Well,
there.
I'm heading to San Diego here very soon. You'll have to let me know.
All right, I'm gonna look up their link and send it to you.
All right, that'd be great.
Try and let me know how the experience is.
All right, I'll try it. Definitely.
It's totally not something.
If it's San Diego, definitely. I doubt if it's LA. I doubt if they're gonna drive donuts to San Diego. But
all right, well, let them know that I referred you.
Okay.
Maybe we'll do something special. But actually, one of my favorite ones is, besides all the wild things, cat cafes is another fun one. If you've ever been, where they're just delightful. But just one of my favorites is just the things that were really built for being able to drive teams of people having having salons run out of there, or having sales teams. Like there are a couple of very large companies. We respect the privacy of all our businesses, so I'm not going to share names of anybody. But there is a very large sales team selling ads, and I loved their setup of it. Is they had around 10, 15 people that were on their one of their ad sales teams. They gave all of their staff, set them up with Acuity so that they were all under one account. Everybody went in and set their own availability and just managed their own calendars. Then they had a one link sent out that was just really like book an intro call that would end up routing it. They would pool everybody's availability together. Like I mentioned before, make sure that the rooms for demos were available, and then route it to them. And then it would automatically create, I believe it was a go-to meeting. So that way, whenever somebody schedules, that was put into the confirmation email, the calendar invite, the reminders, and everything else. So everybody was on the same page. And they said that just creating like the go-to meeting every time would take them about 5 to 10 minutes, plus all the back and forth and everything else. It saved them anywhere like about half an hour per individual appointment, and they had just dozens of them every week, just hundreds of.
That's significant, right?
So it was an incredible amount of time, and the experience for the customer too is really beautiful. And then as they got on to second steps too, and they had some more specialized product areas, they had specialties and more private links that they could send out to people. So after their initial call, maybe there were 3 people on your team who specialized in like this certain in-app type of advertisement. They could get in touch directly with them, with anybody who was available, and just the way that it would work and the time that it would save, it was just delightful. Not the most interesting ones. It doesn't roll off the tongue as easily as donut delivery, but it's a beautiful scenario when it's set up like that.
Well, I'll have to check this out afterwards, because you used my scheduling system to book this, and it wasn't yours, unfortunately. But I was just thinking, I don't think this one has the ability to do what I need, which is I've got 2 calendars, one for my podcast scheduling and work, and then one for, well, it's like I have 2 companies, right? So it's like one for one company and one for another, and the 2 don't meet right now. So it sounds like I could probably do that with Acuity.
Yeah, we can definitely talk more after we get off of this. But yeah, I have the same thing. I have my work calendar and I have my personal one, and I use this for scheduling meetings with myself too. And when my wife books something on the calendar with me, I really don't want to have a meeting at the same time with somebody else.
That's true. Always a good one to avoid. And so, Gavin, now actually we're moving to the last segment of the show where I've got some standard questions I ask all my guests. And the first one is a hypothetical scenario in which you, Gavin, have just been hired as vice president of sales at a company whose sales have stalled out, and they sort of hit a trough, and the CEO is anxious to get things turned around. So what 2 things could you do your first week on the job that would have the biggest impact?
Geez. Well, you, I think, are probably asking somebody different than most of your folks. I come from a technical background and building products.
We've had lots of product and technical people answer.
Okay, good.
But you are a CEO, so you...
Yeah, okay. So honestly, the biggest things that I have seen affect sales is doing user studies where we go out and we actually research people and find their biggest objections and then solve that in the product itself. And then... honestly, I think doubling down on product is the biggest thing, both understanding the user and then solving the experience. We've seen the product sell itself better than anything.
Okay. All right. Good answer. Okay. So some rapid fire questions. You can give me 1-word answers or elaborate if you wish. So the first one is, when you, Gavin, are selling your services like you just did, what's your most powerful sales attribute?
I'm terrible at sales. For me, it's the product itself that really sells itself.
All right. Well, don't undersell yourself. So, so do you have a sales role model?
Let me see. I think the one person that I love to look at is Jeff Bezos. Model that he has built for Amazon, both with supporting and actually selling things, is very user centric.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I quote him at the start of my second book, Amp Up Your Sales. because I think he describes sales better than anybody. He said, we don't make money when we sell things. We make money when we help customers make purchase decisions. Mm-hmm. And to me, if every person in sales kept that in mind, it's about helping the customer make a purchase decision, then they'd be much more successful.
Absolutely. It's so customer-centric, and that's what I love about him.
Yep, me too. Okay, so one book you'd recommend every salesperson should read?
Ooh, that is a great question too. Let me see. I particularly love Delivering Happiness by Shea. What's his first name? Tony Shea?
Yeah, Tony Shea from Zappos. Yeah.
Just because, again, something very user-centric.
Okay, yeah, great book, great organization. All right, so last question for you. What music is on your playlist right now?
Oh, well, you are talking to me right before Christmas, so it is all Christmas songs.
It's all Christmas music. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Christmas song?
I really like Baby It's Cold Outside. Just you got so many renditions of that one, man. You can just keep listening to it all over again.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that. See how many you could string together.
Yeah.
I wonder, could you have a playlist that's purely Baby It's Cold Outside?
Oh my gosh. All right. That would drive me nuts in the end.
All right. Well, Gavin, thanks for joining us today. So tell folks how they can find out more about Acuity and connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way is definitely take a look at Acuity at acuityscheduling.com. That's ACUITY scheduling.com. And we'll have a special link for you too, so that you can in the show notes, so you can get an extended 45-day trial of that. And definitely, if you'd like to reach out to me directly, you can find me on LinkedIn, Gavin Zuchlinski, or reach out to me. I'm actually in our support email a ton of support@acuityscheduling.com. Ask for me, and it routes right over to me as well.
Excellent. There you go. Go right to the source. All right. Well, Gavin, thanks for joining me today. And friends, thank you for spending time with us. Remember, make it a part of your day every day to deliberately learn something new to help you accelerate your success. And an easy way to do that, make sure you don't miss any of my conversations with top business experts like my guest today, Gavin Zuchlinski. I failed him the last time. I got it right every other time, but that one, and now he's laughing at me, who shared his expertise about how to accelerate the growth of your business. So thanks for joining me. Until next time, this is Andy Paul. Good selling, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you like what you heard and want to make sure you don't miss any upcoming episodes, please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or Stitcher.com. For more information about today's guest, visit my website at andypaul.com.